There will always be people who misunderstand you. People who dismiss your efforts, question your worth, and judge your decisions without ever taking the time to truly know your heart. They speak with confidence, but without clarity. They offer opinions wrapped in criticism, not because you failed, but because they never had the courage to try. This is the noise that follows rejection, and the first, most powerful lesson in taking your power back is this: ignore the ignorance. You are not required to respond to every insult. You are not obligated to explain your pain to people who enjoy causing it. Some people reject you not because you lack value, but because your presence threatens their comfort, because your growth reminds them of their stagnation, because your light reveals the parts of themselves they haven't healed. When you understand this, you stop making their rejection a reflection of you. You stop chasing answers that only create more confusion. You stop looking for understanding in people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And in that space, in that silence, you begin to breathe differently. Ignoring ignorance does not make you weak. It makes you wise. It means choosing peace over chaos. It means letting go of the need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to convince them you're good enough. You don't need to prove that you're smart, worthy, talented, or kind. You already are. And the right people, the ones who see clearly, will recognize that without needing an explanation. The truth is, the more attention you give to the voices that tear you down, the less energy you have to build yourself back up. Those voices, the critics, the doubters, the ones who turn their backs on you, they don't need space in your mind. Every second you spend thinking about them is a second stolen from your growth. So start protecting your peace the way you protect your most precious things. Start filtering your thoughts like you filter your water. Start treating your mind like sacred ground, because it is. This is your permission to step back from the noise, to stop replaying conversations that only cause pain, to stop trying to make sense of someone else's ignorance. Rejection is painful enough. Don't extend the pain by giving power to those who never earned it. Instead, give yourself permission to rise in silence, to move in clarity, to build without needing to be seen. Your peace is more valuable than their opinion. Your journey is not up for public debate, and your worth is not open to their vote. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them scroll, whisper, and vanish. You've got better things to do than respond. You're building something real, and real things don't need to shout. Master emotional stillness rejection doesn't just touch the mind. It shakes the soul. One moment you're steady. The next you're swimming in anger, sadness, confusion, even shame. It comes suddenly, like a wave that knocks the wind out of you. And in that moment, your natural reaction might be to fight, to prove something, or to lash out in frustration. But what if the real power isn't in reaction, but in restraint? What if your greatest strength is your ability to stay calm when everything inside you is breaking? Mastering emotional stillness is not about pretending you're not hurt. It's about refusing to let that hurt control your decisions. Emotional stillness means you feel everything, fully, honestly, but you respond with clarity instead of chaos. It means giving yourself permission to pause before reacting, to take a breath, to separate your thoughts from your feelings, to ask yourself, is this response coming from strength or from pain? Rejection can feel like an attack on your identity. It can trigger old wounds, past experiences, deep insecurities. But when you master stillness, you begin to notice these reactions without becoming them. You no longer let temporary emotions create permanent damage. You no longer make impulsive choices just to feel better for a moment. Instead, you sit with your feelings. You let them pass through you like waves across the shore. Powerful, but temporary. Pain arrives. You welcome it. You name it. But you don't hand it the keys to your life. Emotional stillness is not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of wisdom. It's the ability to step back and observe instead of being swept away. When someone ignores you, rejects you, or disrespects you, your instinct might be to defend yourself, to text back, to shout, to cry, to explain. But stillness reminds you that not every battle is yours to fight, that some of the most powerful statements you'll ever make are made in silence, that some of the most life-changing moments come not when you react, but when you refuse to react. Stillness isn't easy. It takes strength to hold your ground when your heart is trembling, but with practice, it becomes a kind of armor, the kind that doesn't harden you, but protects your peace. You begin to understand that calmness is not weakness, it's control. You stop letting other people's behavior dictate your self-worth. You stop basing your mood on someone else's approval. You begin to lead yourself. Remove them from your mind. The mind is powerful, but it is not infinite. It holds memories, emotions, fears, dreams, and sometimes people who no longer belong there. After rejection, it's common to replay everything that happened. The way they looked at you when they turned away, the message they didn't reply to, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers, the silence that followed. These thoughts repeat like a loop, over and over, until they begin to take up more space than they deserve. If you're not careful, rejection becomes more than an event. It becomes a resident in your mind, one that doesn't pay rent, drains your peace, and blocks the door to everything that wants to grow. This is where mental eviction becomes not just helpful, but necessary. You must choose, actively and intentionally, to let go of what's already left you. You must remove their voice from your inner dialogue. Stop imagining what they're doing now. Stop wondering what you could have done differently. Stop carrying conversations in your head with people who never had the capacity to hear you in real life. This isn't about forgetting. It's about reclaiming your attention. Because your attention is your power, and wherever you place it, your energy flows. You owe it to yourself to take that energy back. Start small. Delete the text thread you keep scrolling through. Unfollow the account that keeps reopening wounds. Clear the photos that freeze you in yesterday. You are not erasing memories. You are creating room. Room for healing. Room for clarity. Room for new beautiful things to arrive. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, they need space to breathe. And just like a cluttered home becomes impossible to live in, a cluttered mind becomes impossible to grow in. It's not easy to let go, especially when you're still holding on to hope or still hurting from what could have been. But every time you remove something that no longer serves you, you are not just making a mental shift. You are sending a message to your soul. You're saying, I choose me. I choose peace over pain. I choose forward over stuck. When you evict what's toxic, what's gone, what's over, you make space for what is true. For your voice to be louder than theirs. For your goals to take center stage. Demonstrate value in silence. In a world that constantly demands attention, it's easy to believe that you have to speak louder, prove harder, or explain yourself endlessly just to be seen. But real power doesn't come from noise. It comes from presence. It comes from quiet, consistent action. When you're overlooked, underestimated, or rejected, the temptation is to defend yourself, to announce your worth, to prove that you matter. But one of the most profound forms of strength is the decision to say nothing and build everything. Demonstrating your value in silence is not about hiding. It's about rising in private. It's choosing to let your results speak louder than your responses. You don't have to convince people to respect you. You don't need to argue your potential. You simply have to show up for yourself, day after day, quietly doing the work that no one sees, and trusting that it matters. It's the early mornings you spend working on your skills while the world sleeps. It's the discipline to keep going when no one claps. It's the growth that happens in private long before anyone notices. When you stop explaining and start evolving, everything changes. You begin to move from a place of intention, not insecurity. You stop seeking validation and start generating value. You stop trying to be chosen and start becoming someone who chooses herself every single day. That kind of energy is magnetic. It's not loud, but it's felt. People may not notice your silence, but they will feel the shift in your presence. The confidence in your walk, the calm in your eyes, the depth in your words. That's value. That is power. And the most important person who needs to feel your value is you. When you stay committed to your growth, even when no one is watching, you begin to trust yourself. You see what you're capable of. You build a quiet pride, not based on praise, but on proof. You've lived through the silence, and instead of crumbling, you turned it into soil. You've planted effort. You've watered with discipline. And now, in time, something powerful will grow. Rejection is reflection. Rejection is never easy. It can feel like a punch to the chest, unexpected, painful, and personal. Whether it comes from a person, a job, an opportunity, or even a dream you held close, it stings in a way that few things do. But beneath that sting, if you're willing to look deeper, lies something far more powerful than pain. It's called reflection. And this is where the real change begins. Most people run from rejection. They bury it, deny it, or cover it with anger and blame. But if you want to grow, truly grow, you have to face it, sit with it, ask it questions. Because rejection isn't just someone else's decision. It's also a chance to learn about yourself. It's a mirror. Not a mirror that points fingers, but one that gently says, look closer. Ask yourself, what is this trying to show me? Were you relying too much on someone else to feel whole? Were you compromising your values just to be accepted? Were you silencing your voice because you feared being judged or abandoned? Sometimes rejection comes not to punish you, but to protect you, to pull you away from places where you were shrinking. Sometimes it's the world's way of saying, you deserve better. But first, you need to believe that. And when you sit in that space, that quiet, honest space, you begin to see patterns. Maybe you've been choosing people who never chose you back. Maybe you've been applying for things that don't align with your heart. Maybe you've been saying yes when your soul is screaming no. Reflection helps you recognize these patterns without shame. It helps you connect the dots between your pain and your choices. Not to blame yourself, but to free yourself. This is how transformation begins. Not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with truth. When you ask yourself the hard questions, you stop asking others to define your worth. You start owning your story. You stop saying, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can I build from this? That shift, from blame to awareness, is where reinvention lives. You are not broken because someone rejected you. You are not unworthy because a door closed. You are simply being invited to look deeper, to understand yourself better, to rebuild not from what the world gave you, but from what you discover inside you. That's the foundation no one can take away. That's where your power comes from. Play long-term games. Rejection feels sharp because it hits you in the moment. It cuts into your plans, interrupts your confidence, and challenges your belief in what's next. It makes everything feel urgent, like something must be fixed now, healed now, understood now. But the truth is, most of what rejection stirs up in you isn't meant to be solved in a moment. It's meant to wake you up to something deeper, your long game. Your real life isn't built in hours or even days. It's shaped over years. And the most powerful version of you won't come from reacting quickly, but from building patiently. When someone rejects you, it's easy to believe you've lost something, that you missed your shot, that you're behind. But this is only true if you're seeing life through a short-term lens, a lens that values immediate results over lasting change. When you shift to long-term thinking, everything changes. You realize that every no you hear now can still be a yes later. If you keep growing, keep improving, keep showing up. You stop seeing rejection as the end and start seeing it as a redirect. Every time you respond to rejection with patience and focus, you're not just healing, you're investing. Investing in your resilience, in your work ethic, in your emotional intelligence, in your future self. These are the seeds you plant now, when no one is clapping, when no one believes in you, when no one is watching. They're quiet, invisible, but they are real. And like any seed, they need time. Water them with consistency. Nourish them with discipline. Protect them from the weeds of doubt and comparison, because what you're building isn't fast. It's foundational. Character, integrity, self-respect. These are not quick wins. They're slow, deep roots that take shape underground before anyone sees a single result. But once they take hold, no one can pull them out. That is the power of playing the long game. The satisfaction that comes not from a moment of applause, but from a life built with intention. Redirect pain into projects. Pain is a heavy force. It sits in your chest, lingers in your thoughts, and often clouds your sense of purpose. When you're rejected, that pain doesn't just pass. It looks for a place to go. And if you don't give it a direction, it stays. It turns into bitterness. It loops into overthinking. It drains your energy and keeps you trapped in cycles of self-doubt. But pain, as difficult as it is, can also be incredibly powerful when you give it a job. You see, pain carries energy, is raw, is real, and you get to choose whether that energy stays stuck or gets transformed. One of the most life-changing decisions you can make after rejection is to redirect that pain into creation. Use it. Turn it into something. Write, paint, record, teach, start something new, even if your hands shake while doing it. Your project doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Let it carry your truth, your emotion, your story. Rejection might have taken something from you, but building gives something back. It gives you control. It gives you movement. It gives your suffering a shape that others can see and learn from. Every project, whether it's a business, a blog, a workout, a book, or a garden, becomes a declaration. I am not done. I am still here. I am still growing. When you build with pain, you aren't glorifying your wounds. You're healing them. You're giving them a purpose beyond the hurt. You're transforming what could have broken you into proof that you survived, that you turned something dark into something useful, something creative, something brave. That's the difference between pain that keeps you stuck and pain that sets you free. This is also how you begin to reclaim your identity. After rejection, it's easy to feel like you're just the one who got left behind, like you've lost a piece of who you are. But when you build something, even something small, you take that identity back. You remind yourself that you're not just what happened to you, you're what you create after it. And the truth is, some of the most incredible, meaningful work in the world was born from rejection, heartbreak, and failure. Because people who felt deep pain often have deep things to say. They build with honesty. They connect with others who've been in the same darkness. And in doing so, they shine a light. Self-worth is not negotiable. Your self-worth is not a trend. It doesn't rise and fall depending on who accepts you or who walks away. It doesn't change because someone didn't call back, didn't choose you, didn't see your potential. Your worth is not based on performance, popularity, or perfection. It is rooted deep within you. It's quiet, unshakable, and completely yours. And the moment you start treating it as negotiable, the moment you allow someone else's opinion to dictate how you feel about yourself, you hand them the power they never earned. When you're rejected or ignored, it's easy to start questioning everything. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Should I have tried harder? That voice, the one that starts to doubt you, isn't speaking truth. It's repeating fear. But here's what you must remember. You don't need to earn your worth. You already have it. It lives in the way you carry yourself, in the way you show up for your goals, in the way you speak to yourself when no one's watching. Don't shrink for people who can't see your full size. Don't chase the approval of those who only love the version of you that doesn't ask for much. And most importantly, don't settle for being almost enough just to make someone else comfortable. Your worth isn't a discount item. You don't lower your price because someone isn't willing to invest. That says everything about them and nothing about you. You need boundaries, not because you're selfish, but because you're sacred. Say no when your heart knows it's a no. Walk away when staying means betraying your values. Respect yourself so deeply that walking alone feels better than walking with those who make you feel invisible. Stand firmly in your dignity, even when it's lonely, especially when it's lonely. Because in those quiet moments of self-respect, you are building the kind of foundation no one can shake. The wisdom of withholding. There's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to shout, a dignity that chooses silence, not because it lacks words, but because it understands their value. In a world that constantly pressures you to explain yourself, why you left, why you stopped responding, why you changed, the most powerful answer can sometimes be no answer at all. You do not owe everyone a justification for your peace. You do not have to perform your healing for those who caused your wounds. This is the wisdom of withholding. And it's a lesson most people only learn after they've been drained one too many times. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not every person is entitled to your vulnerability. When someone rejects you, disrespects you, or dismisses your boundaries, you don't owe them the privilege of watching you process it. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is not responding, not explaining, not going back to defend who you are to people who were never really listening. When you withhold, you protect what's sacred. You keep your energy where it belongs, with you. Withholding doesn't mean being cold. It means being clear. It means choosing presence over performance. It means you're no longer interested in winning arguments or proving your worth to people who didn't recognize it when they had it. It means you've shifted from reacting emotionally to living intentionally. Every word you withhold becomes a message to yourself. I am in control of what I give away. And from that control, your confidence grows. You don't have to share your every thought, defend your every decision, or revisit places you've outgrown just to make someone else comfortable. Let them wonder. Let them guess. You're not required to make them understand. In fact, the moment you stop needing to be understood is the moment you begin to understand yourself. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to over-explaining, to smoothing over conflict, to softening your truth so others don't feel the weight of it. But with time, you'll see how silence can protect your peace. you'll realize that holding your words is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the maturity to choose where and how you show up. And when you do speak, your words will carry more weight, not because they're louder, but because they're earned. You are not the same person who was rejected. That version of you may have been eager to please, afraid to lose people, uncertain of her worth. But the woman walking out of that rejection is someone entirely different. She's been through fire, and instead of burning, she forged herself into something unbreakable. She has felt the weight of silence, the sting of being overlooked, the ache of being misunderstood, and she survived. More than survived, she evolved. Rejection didn't ruin you. It refined you. It made you strip away what was false. It made you question who you were living for. It forced you to grow in ways comfort never could. And now, as you return to yourself, you do so with eyes wide open. You see what matters. You see who deserves access to your time, your heart, your energy. You no longer chase acceptance. You embody it. You've learned to sit with pain and still find purpose. You've learned that you can be soft without being weak, kind without being naive, loving without losing yourself. This return is quiet. There are no fireworks, no standing ovations. Just small, steady moments where you choose differently. Where you speak your truth without fear. Where you walk away without guilt. Where you say no and mean it. Where you say yes to yourself and mean it even more. And these choices, day by day, become your rebirth. Your confidence isn't loud, but it's real. Your power isn't aggressive, but it's unshakable. You return not to prove yourself, but to live fully as yourself. No longer shaped by the fear of rejection, but by the strength that came from surviving it. You've built something the world can't take away. A deep inner knowing that who you are is more than enough. That your voice matters. That your story has power. That your journey, even the hardest parts, were part of your becoming. Every rejection you have endured was never wasted. Each no pushed you toward something needed. Within pain lies purpose. In every shut door is a chance to rise. You do not walk forward because you ignore hurt. You walk forward because you understand it. Reinvention begins when you stop defining yourself through what was denied and start building through what you believe. Today you have more than tools. You have a mindset. You have power that no external no can take. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're not rejected. You're redirected.